Happy Monday. I am Julie Flygar, and I am the President and CEO of Project Sleep, and are so excited because Anna Marr is one of our Rising Voices of Narcolepsy writers, and today we are going to be having her read her amazing, clever, and just super insightful essay about living with narcolepsy as a comedian and actor. So we're really excited to have Anna with us today. Before we get started with Anna, I just wanted to share a few announcements about Project Sleep and get you guys updated on what's happening now. And of course, the most important thing is that I just want to, of course, mention that this is just such an incredibly challenging time right now in the world and across the US. So we hope that everyone is staying healthy and safe and sane and just doing everything you can to take good care right now. And know that we're thinking of you. Our narcolepsy community is super international and internationally connected. And so, it's just a really challenging time to know that people around the world are so affected by the coronavirus. So that is why we decided to, during this time, increase our online programming and do our story sharing sessions that we had planned on doing monthly. For the next few months, we are going to be doing them weekly, which we're really excited about, to hopefully increase engagement and a sense of connection in a world that feels, sometimes it can be easily to feel isolated when we can't be around people in the real world. So we'll be doing this virtually. And so stay tuned, of course, for in the upcoming weeks and months, we'll be having weekly sessions like this. And what other updates? Let's see. Well, we have the Jack and Julie Narcolepsy Scholarship. The application for that closes on April 1st, so just a few days away now. And we've been getting questions from people about whether they should submit their application online because of, the challenges with the mail right now and everything. So it's okay if people want to submit via PDF, they can email it into the address on the application. And we're excited to still continue that program. And we also have the application open right now for Rising Voices of Narcolepsy program. So that we'll be doing our 4th sessions of trainings this summer. It's all virtual anyway. So it's about a month-long training for speakers and a month-long training for writers, and people get to choose whether they would like to do the speaking or the writing track of this program. So please, fill out that application. It's due April 15th, and we're really excited to train our 4th class of graduates from this summer. So let's see what else. We had a wonderful sleep-in just a week ago, and it was our 6th annual sleep-in event. We had participants from around the world, so thank you to everyone who fundraised. We raised a good amount of money for Project Sleep, and people were raising awareness and taking creative pictures, and we had broadcasts across the weekend, and it was just a really wonderful event. So thanks for everyone who participated in that. And just wanted to mention, of course, a few updates. We're supposed to have a Nashville event on April 26th. We were really excited to be in Nashville, but that has been postponed until August 8th. So we will, be together in person in Nashville, hopefully on August 8th. And so that's just the update there on Project Sleep's events. And I can't think of too much else. It's, things are changing right now rapidly for everyone. And so please just know we're thinking of you, and we'll do our best with everything we can here. And so with that, we did try to record this last night with Anna, but we did have a lot of technical difficulties. So that's why we are re-recording it today. So I'll just go through again the reminders about if you are watching this from anywhere around the world, please type in the comments to say where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where folks are. And remember that this is recorded though, and all those comments are public. And so, as Anna is sharing her essay and her story, if, things are resonating with you, it's always wonderful to see those comments. Just remember that they are public. So it's always not probably the best place to share information about your, anything personal to you that you wouldn't want to share. And remember that, this is for education and awareness. We can't provide medical advice. That we always recommend, if anything in these videos sparks a question in you, to bring those questions to your sleep specialist. So just a reminder about that. And I think with that, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Anna. So let's see. Anna, are you there?
Oh.
Hello. So Anna and I just live a few miles apart in Los Angeles. And so usually maybe we could even do this together, but we're social distancing properly. So just down the street. And I'm going to introduce Anna with her bio, and then she will go ahead and read her amazing essay. Anna Marr is an LA-based actor, writer, and voiceover artist, originally from Ohio. When not performing or writing comedy, she enjoys consuming odd ice cream flavors, female-driven TV shows, and theme parks. She is the co-founder of Bluelaces Theatre Co, a nonprofit that creates interactive multisensory theater for individuals with developmental differences. Anna was diagnosed with narcolepsy as a senior at Northwestern University. As a Rising Voices of Narcolepsy writer, she aims to change how the media represents this chronic neurological condition. She is currently developing a dark comedy series, folks, you don't want to miss this, called Walking Through Peanut Butter, based on her experiences navigating New York's comedy scene with narcolepsy. And we will ask Anna to tell us a little bit more about that after she reads her essay. So stay tuned for hearing more about that as well. And you can also learn more about Anna at annamarr.com. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and take it away, Anna.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much. Okay, so as Julie said, this is the essay that I published from my Rising Voices of Narcolepsy program. And I posted it on Medium, and this is from 2018. And the title is Laugh at Me, Not My Narcolepsy: Why I Take Sleep More Seriously Than I Take Myself. Okay. If you pop a home video in my dad's dusty VCR, you'll probably see my sisters and me, circa 2001, improvising news shows or performing trampoline parody concerts in our backyard. That's all I did as a kid in small town Ohio, live off of making them laugh. I've always been a performer, but in school, I was a quiet, obedient student. My senior year, we had to read 1,400 pages of Atlas Shrugged over winter break. Whatever. I devoted every day to reading, and every day, tiny anvils attached to my eyelids and slowly dragged them shut. I tried to fight, but I was helpless against my new foe, sudden, debilitating sleepiness. The next year, as a college theater major, I needed pre-rehearsal naps. I'd lie in my twin XL bed, set an alarm for 20 minutes, and sleep until my roommate would start pounding on the door. She'd talk to me, but I couldn't roll over, yell, or even open my eyes, like I was bound by an invisible straitjacket. However, she was never there when I woke up, so I figured these were merely annoying dreams. Because I refused to let my sleepiness affect my studies and theater activities, my drained energy diminished my social life. I felt like a loser for never staying up late, not going to parties. By sophomore year, I wound up bobbing my head up and down while fighting to keep my eyes open in almost every class. I'd lose track of lectures and abandoned scrupulous note-taking for scribbling illegible nonsense about SpongeBob. I wrote plays with my eyes closed. I consulted the Learning Disabilities Center. By senior year, I was scheduling solely non-reading classes. In high school, I had started telling every doctor that I was really tired, like more tired than other people. They'd ask about my schedule and say, "You're too stressed, quit an activity." I wouldn't listen to them because A, they were wrong, and B, extracurriculars lead to Oscars, common knowledge. It took 4.5 years for a doctor to humor me enough to refer me to a sleep doctor who humored me enough to order a sleep test. Winter break of my senior year, 4 years after Atlas shrugged my eyelids, my doctor called. I wasn't surprised with my diagnosis. I am the one person for whom WebMDing worked, but I told you so currency doesn't go far. I knew as much about actually living with narcolepsy as I know about people who still wear Jinko jeans, in that I'm sure there is a small group of people somewhere who do that, but I have no idea what their deal is. It's been 5 years since then, so I'll explain. Narcolepsy is a chronic neurological disorder that hinders the brain's ability to regulate the sleep-wake cycle. It affects 1 in 2,000 people, 200,000 Americans, 3 million worldwide. Symptoms include excessive daytime sleepiness, hypnagogic hallucinations and sleep paralysis, aka my confusing roommate dreams, and disrupted, restless nighttime sleep. It's not falling asleep while crossing the street, or whatever else you've seen in Rat Race, Modern Family, a Honda ad, or even that viral YouTube poodle. Thanks to Facebook groups and many sleep doctors, I'm more aware of what I need. I take a daily medication that reduces excessive daytime sleepiness so I can be more alert and productive. Without it, I feel like I'm walking through peanut butter. Meds are nothing, though, without a regulated sleep schedule, the same sleep and wake time every day. Plus, doctors' orders to treat daily 20-minute naps like medicine. As an actor, this is hard. When I'm performing comedy, it's either early in the mornings for kids or at night with my improv team. I have to say no to most of these gigs in order to keep my sleep routine and already sparse nap schedule. There's a big learning curve. Last year, near the end of a long day of filming a comedy pilot, my knees kept buckling. I'd reached for the floor whenever my scene partners made me laugh. Turns out I have another narcolepsy symptom, cataplexy. It's a sudden episode of muscle weakness triggered by strong emotions, fear, joy, etc., that varies from jaw slackening to falling down in a few seconds to several minutes, all while conscious. I'd experienced it after a tiring day at Disney World, sure, but I couldn't believe it was happening while I was acting. My trigger, by the way? Laughter. Today's Double Jeopardy, gratuitous examples of irony. What is a comedic performer whose cataplexy is only triggered by laughter? Nothing will change my goal of being a successful actor and writer. I still work multiple day jobs, audition, perform, take classes, and am a law-abiding citizen with a family, boyfriend, and friends. Yet this takes way more effort than you think. It's easy to minimize narcolepsy when you can't see its effects. Like others with this invisible illness, I feel the need to constantly explain myself, scientifically defending my behavior because I don't look sick. So sorry, but I'm more tired than you. #humblebrag. Living with narcolepsy is akin to feeling like you haven't slept in 48 to 72 hours. You know how you feel when you wake up around 4:30 a.m. for an 8 a.m. flight, not having slept because you were worried about waking up at 4:30 a.m.? That's me every day. I wake up feeling like I've run a marathon. #marathonbrag. I'm afraid that if I speak up about my narcolepsy, people will think I'm too tired or weak to have an acting career. Au contraire, I am capable, talented, and relentless AF, and I guarantee I will show up prepared and ready to work. I am phenomenal at faking being well. I believe that's what you call a classically trained actor, but it costs me a lot. Behind the scenes, there's extreme fatigue, brain fog, memory loss, and a pile of medical bills. When I tell folks I have narcolepsy, most laugh, amused or bemused. Or it's shock and fear, like I've told them I never wear shoes on airplanes. If I were to bottle proper response number 5, its prominent note would be calm curiosity, without judgment, pity, or indulgent surprise. Proper response number 5 by Jimmy Kimmel, comedian with narcolepsy for whose permission I did not ask, available wherever beds are sold. Living with narcolepsy teaches me that if I don't test, learn, and respect my limits, I'll live by rules not made for me. Knowing when and how to advocate is a daily test, from prioritizing naps over networking to deciding when to tell teachers and directors about it. A nagging little voice asks, am I being lazy, or am I making an informed choice for my well-being? Much like the WWE, I don't expect it to go away and can only aim to quiet it down. One upside, narcolepsy offers me unique, oftentimes hilarious news stories to tell. Being able to laugh at some of its oxymorons and unbelievable situations is more than a coping mechanism. Humor helps break down stigmas attached to sleep disorders, especially those exaggerated in on-screen portrayals of narcolepsy. Also, it invites people in to better understand our lives. My hope is that when we talk about narcolepsy or any invisible illness, we don't shy away or put up walls, but instead encourage curious conversation. I'll always love performing, writing, and watching comedy, even if sometimes laughter literally brings me to my knees. Yay!
Yay, Anna. Thank you so much for sharing your essay with us today. I love this essay. I know I'm not the only one. It's an incredible, there's so much in there. Like, it's so packed with so many great analogies and so many important points. It's kind of a masterpiece of all those different things, really. And so humorous. So I have here a few slides I think I'm going to pull up now for us to explore Anna's story a little bit more with her. This into a slideshow. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see that this is an essay, and again, the title, we did put the link to the essay in the description of this video, so you can go right there yourself and read it again, highlight quotes and share it with friends and family. It's just a wonderful masterpiece of education and the real life experience of someone living with narcolepsy. And so my first question for Anna is, what was the experience like as a writer in the program Rising Voices, and what was it like to get this published?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the experience because I had never written about my experiences with narcolepsy at all. So for me, it was sort of just word vomiting, like, oh my God, let me think of every single thing that in my journey possible, which I know when I sent them to Julie and Rebecca, they were probably like, what have we signed up for here? Because I certainly overwrote. But I think it was super important for me to do so and reflect upon those things. So it was helpful just to process some stuff. But then I also really appreciated the outline that Julie had set up where, you start off with getting the audience to know you, and you start off at yourself and who you are personally, what your interests are, where you're from, anything about you to welcome the audience in, so that they get to know you in the context of how these symptoms of narcolepsy began to show up in your life before you even mentioned the word narcolepsy. I just thought that was, such a brilliant way to get people on your side and, invoke understanding and empathy. And it's just, I loved the structure. And I finished the program, and then I sent a draft, my final draft, to a friend just because I really trusted their opinion on writing and comedy, and their response was like, this is great. I think it's very well written. It's funny. And I just, as a friend and also reading this essay, I'm just not quite sure how narcolepsy impacts your life. It seems like everything's fine. And I was like, oh no, that's not what I want to convey at all. I had too much of a silver lining, I guess, at the end of it. And it took me like 6 months, if not longer, to figure out what I wanted to say to make sure that that very special, important part that yeah, again, narcolepsy is invisible and a lot of us really rally to not have anybody ever know. And that doesn't mean it's nothing. It means there's so much going on underneath all the time and that other people don't see. So I added in, I think now I realize it's 2 paragraphs that I think I added in. And one day I was just like, oh, I get it. I know what I need to write. And then I was just so eager to publish it. I published it on Medium, and yeah, that was the process.
And do you remember which paragraphs? I'm thinking it's the ones where you kind of talk a little bit more about some of the sacrifices.
Yeah,
or...
I think it was probably it's easy to minimize narcolepsy when you can't see its effects. That one, and probably the next paragraph as well. Behind the scenes, it costs me a lot, things like that. I have to imagine that those were not in there before.
Yeah, I just love that you point that out, because I think people that are dedicated to raising awareness is to strike this balance between making sure how serious the symptoms are,
Yeah.
how much it affects our lives, but also trying to and
I didn't quite catch that. I think you froze a little bit.
Both positively spiritual. But it's just a balance to strike between, am I frozen?
A little bit.
I don't know.
But hopefully that's just on my end.
Okay. I don't know. Let's see. And then how was it once you published? Did you get some good feedback?
Well, as I've mentioned to you before, I had no idea that I had gotten any feedback from it, because when I posted it within my own, on my Instagram and Facebook, algorithms be algorithms, or who knows why, I didn't really get much of a response. I got one friend that I hadn't spoken to for years from college who, was so appreciative, and it was a really nice message to receive. And then once I found, it was a month before I found the posts that you and Project Sleep had done, and that there were comments on the Medium essay itself. I just, for whatever reason, didn't realize that I didn't have my notification set up or something. But to see all of that within probably the same day was extremely powerful, because I'd never spoken out about my narcolepsy in any meaningful way up until that point. And to have, it was so affirming and validating, and to see how many people it resonated with was because whenever you put anything out there, especially for me related to narcolepsy, I just want to make sure that nobody feels unrepresented, or somebody feels this isn't correct at all. I wanted, which of course you can't represent everybody's experience in your own story, but I was so happy to see that it was something that a lot of people were able to find something in there that they're related to.
Awesome. Today, would you leave it the same, or would you make changes to it?
So yeah, I think that I really like the essay as it is, because it is somewhat innocent in my journey of narcolepsy. It's at a point where I'd figured a bunch of stuff out about how to live with, begin to make some choices about how I saw it existing in my life. But more of the nuanced, advanced living with narcolepsy issues, at least in my book, of relationships and friendships, and my journey with acceptance or grief, things like that. I hadn't gotten there yet. And so this is sort of, to me, if I were to want somebody to read about narcolepsy in my life. This is like a great starting point. To me, this is like really encapsulates a lot of it, and from a basic level, that I still agree with all of it. And so that makes me feel, like there's nothing I disagree with here. I no longer live in New York, and I live now in LA. And even before I moved, I have been able to make some changes in my life to try to pare down all of the stuff I was doing. So I'm no longer like taking a million classes while also doing comedy at night, and also I'm not working multiple day jobs and things like that. I've really worked to try to simplify my life as best as possible and focus. So that's a little bit easier to do. And I think that the voice that I said was like the WWE, where it's there and you just have to quiet it down. It's never going away. I think that has gotten quieter the more that I've gone on my journey to acceptance and setting boundaries and things like that. It's still there, but now I have a better, even more so than when I was here, I have a much better idea of what I need and what it takes to get it.
Okay, sorry, I muted myself there. So I think, hopefully, can you hear, I don't know if you guys can hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. That's just such a important point. So maybe what I'm hearing from you is that you might have more essays up your sleeve someday.
I do. I will. Yeah.
And other ways, of course, that you can share, because you're a very creative person in more ways. Not only are you a phenomenal essay writer, but we're going to get to some of your other writing that you've been doing and projects. So as a creator in other ways, one of the cool things I think that came out of this was you being on Wake Up Narcolepsy's Narcolepsy 360 podcast. So tell us about this.
Yes, this was really a super fun experience. Either Claire Crisp, who is the executive director of Wake Up Narcolepsy and hosts the amazing Narcolepsy 360 podcast, either she or her producer read my essay on Medium. They found it themselves, and then they reached out to me and were like, "We loved your essay. We think you'd be great as a guest on the podcast." And I was like, no one's ever reached out to me that, we didn't know each other. I've never spoken with Claire before. So that was an awesome feeling, I felt like I had a little 1 minute of fame there of somebody reaching out from my essay. And then doing the podcast was super fun. I really love the variety of guests that the podcast has between people who live with narcolepsy, or maybe their parents, their family members, doctors, researchers, Julie Flygar, other Rising Voices of Narcolepsy people. And I think they're trying to, weave together a fabric of different stories. And I was super excited to go on there and talk about the very niche topic of using comedy and storytelling as a way to break down stigma in chronic illness. Hope to have some others join me in that conversation along the way. And another cool thing is from that alone, I got, emails and Instagram messages from people who really responded it and saw themselves in my story as like a young overachiever who maybe is an artist or is trying to do something that doesn't seem like it fits together with having narcolepsy and, the public's mind. And so they reached out to me, and that was, of course, wonderful. And also through talking, Claire and I figured out that it would, be awesome to have me join the Wake Up Narcolepsy summer camp that they have going on. We weren't able to get it together last fall, but this summer they have hopefully, fingers crossed that they'll still be able to have that week-long summer camp for children with narcolepsy and their families. It's a wonderful program. I definitely hope that they're able to do that this summer. And if they are, I'll be there leading a workshop on improv comedy for the kids.
That is so cool. I love that. And I think that you should be doing those workshops for me. I'm ready. Actually, I'm like the worst at improv because I'm very
Oh
slow.
no, I think you'd be great.
Thank you. I don't know. But that's just so fantastic. And it did remind me also, I did want to mention that Wake Up Narcolepsy also has really wonderful online support groups for people with narcolepsy and loved ones. So especially during this time, you know, this is such a great opportunity to find some social support and connection, which is something I believe in so much. So if you're not already familiar with Wake Up Narcolepsy and their podcast, their camp, or their online support groups, definitely check them out. And so we have one last thing to talk about, and certainly not least, is walking through peanut butter. And so tell us a little bit about this project, Anna.
Yes, so this is something that I've been working on for a while now, you know, maybe a year and a half. And it is a dark comedy series that is based on my experiences navigating the New York City comedy scene while living with narcolepsy. So it's follows Jesse, who is a stubborn, overachieving new college grad who is diving headfirst into the comedy world of the city that never sleeps, aka the perfect place to adapt to her newly diagnosed narcolepsy. And it's obviously quite loosely based on my life, but it is fiction and it follows a different character. We find out in the pilot episode that we know that she has narcolepsy. She's sort of in the same place. It was born from the same place that I was in when I moved to New York City, which is I got my diagnosis right before I graduated, about halfway through my senior year of college. And I was basically given a pamphlet and a prescription and sent out the door. And so I thought, okay, I have a diagnosis and I have a prescription, I'm good. And, you know, no 22-year-old is usually right about anything that they think so strongly is going to be the same their whole lives, you know. And so I moved to New York and certainly was very naive about that. And I didn't realize I was carrying along, you know, a invisible baggage of an extra suitcase that was living with a chronic illness, specifically narcolepsy. And so the series is sort of what it's like to unpack that invisible baggage suitcase. And part of that for me and part of that for the character of Jessie will be discovering that she has cataplexy. And her trigger is laughter, which is particularly, difficult as a stand-up comedian when your trigger is you saying the punchline of a joke. And so that's what we'll follow along the series seeing. My team and I filmed a 9-minute proof of concept, which is essentially like a short pilot episode, a first episode. And we filmed that in New York right before I left, and we're almost finished editing it. This is really exciting. And we have 10 days left. We are about 75% of the way through of our crowdfunding campaign to raise money for the rest of the development of the project. And so that includes submitting to film festivals, costs a pretty penny for each application. And those are really important because that's where you get lots of eyes of important people on your project. And the money also, to be very transparent, will go to reimbursing myself. I've already paid all of our artists who need to be paid. I've already fed the team, bought the props, etc., taking care of everybody. And as you might understand, it's still important to take care of yourself as an artist, especially with a chronic illness, to pay yourself for your time, even just a teeny little bit. And we are 73% funded. We need to get at least 80% funded to get the money that we raised. And we have 10 days to do so. And we are $210 away from that. So if it's so possible, I'm so sure it's going to happen with even just folks donating $5, $10, the more tiny little donations we can get from people who are interested in supporting the portrayal of an accurate portrayal of narcolepsy on screen for potentially the first time, and doing using a little humor to do so. If you're interested in that, then consider supporting us by either sharing the page with somebody that you think right now in this very difficult financial time is able to share a few dollars. You know, I understand it's a hard time to have a crowdfunding campaign, but it does not end. We still have to do it. So if you're not able to financially contribute, totally understand. You can also share the page or hit follow on the page, and that's still super meaningful.
I just am so proud of you. I think this project is so fantastic. It's amazing to see you like just having, met you a few years ago and working you through on your essay to cool. And as Anna said, like, it's a really challenging time. And I just also think though that like, I'm so proud. I need support to be able to do this. As someone that also did a creative project, put those pennies together to make something like this work. It's challenging. So I just so proud of you for doing this crowdfunding, and Arno has some Project Sleep swag. I don't remember which level of support it is, but check out that level, because I think there's some, we've got all the greatest stuff, every great item we have.
Yes, there's like some tote bags, some stickers, a water bottle. We're hoping to maybe add a little extra incentive for our last week of crowdfunding, TBA. Look forward to that.
Yes, so we're just super proud of you, and can't wait to see you succeed, because I know you're going to reach 100.
Thank you. We will.
That's my prediction. Yeah. No, she'll comment hopefully. So if you guys don't know the Seed and Spark, I hadn't heard of Seed and Spark.
Yeah, Seed and Spark is amazing.
Just remember this is. Yeah, just remember, like, I just think it's so cool that this is a representation of narcolepsy, and like educating people about from your own point of view is just so powerful. So
thanks.
I think that's all. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Anna?
Just that, let's see. If they're interested in learning more about the series, they can go to our Instagram, which is Peanut Butter Series. That's our handle on Instagram. Otherwise, you can find me as myself on Facebook, and also on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Marr Zapana. And let's see. I mean, I'm just so thinking of everybody right now, just like Julie said. Very interesting time for the chronic illness community and people who are somewhat used to having to stay at home a little bit more or work from home. And just so, I know there's a lot of good work going on Instagram and whatnot of trying to create awareness and solidarity over that, but we see you, and hopefully this will allow everybody else who doesn't usually live that experience to have some empathy around that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things that will hopefully come of this time. So
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. So we gotta hope. Thank you again, everyone. Please share this essay. Please share about Anna's Walking Through Peanut Butter project, and contribute if you can. And to, someday be at we just can't wait for the next steps for Anna and sharing all of her success.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, everybody. Their internet will work. patient, and that's it. So thanks again, Anna. Thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
Julie. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye for now.